Hi. Here is my first attempt at making a YouTube video. Sometimes you just need to jump in and start even though you don't really know where to. So I thought I would just introduce myself and mention why I'm feeling compelled to do this. Excuse me, I'm sitting backwards in a chair. So, I have found value in learning from others, and I have had to learn some tough lessons by myself. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've made some progress in my journey, in my personal healing journey. Yeah, so let me begin with where it started. When I left home to start working, I moved to a different city. It was my first time not living at home. I think, like many people, I was a little bit taken aback by what it means to be an adult. And I think when you're put in that situation, it's not like anything was going wrong necessarily specifically, but I think when you are asked to stand on your own 2 feet, there comes a time when it becomes harder and harder to ignore your demons, everything that as a child growing up you've pushed away, or just, suppressed, dealt with, accepted as normal. And it's only through really, I think, living independently and trying to find your own identity in life that you kind of start to see, well, some things don't seem quite right, like maybe why aren't things as I expect them to be? Why are the stories I've been told not matching up with the reality that I'm experiencing? And I think maybe, there's always like this weird generational like infighting almost between, I don't know, like the coming of age generations, if I can put it that way. So, I mean, I'm what people call a millennial. I'm 34, and the time period I'm speaking about now is around when I was 22, 23. So 2013 is when I kind of realized, I'm I'm struggling, I'm struggling to cope with life as it is, with this reality of having to drive to work for an hour every day. I was an intern back then, and getting paid pretty much nothing, but at least I was getting paid. Most interns actually just don't get paid, which is also very messed up. But, that's not really what I'm here to talk about. I think this is quite long-winded, but what I'm trying to get at is that I had to do a lot of introspection at one point, because I realized probably about a year after, becoming independent, if I can put it that way, going out into the world on my own, that I have numbed myself, or I had been numbing myself like completely. I was literally incapable of feeling emotions. Not incapable, but like I had like yeah, I had like numbed myself basically because I was pushing so many things down, you know. I was unwilling to face my own trauma from my past, you know, as a child who was unable to really face it, you know. Yeah, so I didn't even recognize that I had trauma, you know. So yeah, so basically I started off as somebody who, as a young adult, as a child, I was very, very, I was quite quiet, but I was very curious, and, you know, I've always loved nature and animals, and I'm very gentle, you know, naturally. I don't like hurting people or beings, any kind of being. I'm very sensitive to the suffering of other things, or the suffering of others, I should say. I'm very empathetic, so I feel a lot of emotions. Intensely. This is another thing I came to discover about myself, is that I am an emotionally intense person. Likely, very likely neurodivergent. I deal with sensory sensitivities quite often. Bright lights and sounds and smells and textures and like so many things. That can be easily overwhelming for me. So yeah, you know, I think what I want to speak about, what I want to share with this community, what I want to build here, why I am here, is to share how I've been able to transform myself from somebody who literally had numbed myself, unable to face or even recognize that I was traumatized, to somebody who is open to facing all of that crap within myself, you know, and recognizing that I have come a long way, and yeah, I may have gone through some difficult things, but it wasn't my fault. And you know, it's okay. Life is hard. Life is hard for everyone. It's not, yeah, you know, maybe it's harder for some people. Actually, it definitely is. There are degrees. You know, I'm still very privileged. You know, I didn't really grow up particularly wealthy or anything, but you know, the pyramid is very skewed, so like I may not be that rich, but I am very rich compared to some people. And you know, I think that's also part of this whole journey, is like understanding that everyone has their own path to walk. And you know, I just want to share some of the insights that I've gained into, you know, how we can just shift our perspective in order to be more neutral, you know, how to maintain neutrality, how to regain balance within ourselves, within our lives, you know, and maybe hopefully pay it forward and just spread that like loving, caring, compassionate energy to the rest of the world, you know, to things outside of ourselves, because, you know, that's the point I'm at now, where I've dealt with my own stuff. Now it's time, you know, to be of value to society. So if you know, care, if you're interested if you're just curious, whatever it is, this is what this is all about. Some of my other background, I'm a creative industry professional. I work as a designer, started out doing graphic design and stuff. I do some illustration as well, but you know, I kind of stopped doing that for pay and really try and just do that for my own creative expression. So I'm a very creative person. I also am a cancer survivor, which I think has been quite a fundamental thing for me. It was a big trauma point. I went through treatment for Hodgkin's lymphoma when I was 18. It was halfway through my first year at university, and it was incredibly isolating, and it just felt like it, I don't know, it was like a signal or something. But part of why I'm mentioning this is because I think that experience taught me a lot. As painful as it was, it was, you know, it was like living through a nightmare. I'm very, very needle phobic. Even though I have tattoos and some piercings, people seem to always think that being scared of needles means you're scared of tattoos, but I think they're very, very, very different. Because the thought of a tattoo doesn't make me pass out, or the thought of getting one doesn't make me pass out. Whereas if I think just about like having my blood drawn, there's a good chance I will faint. Because my vasovagal reaction is so strong. It's not something I can control. Anyway, okay. That aside, I think the reason I'm sharing all of this is just to give some insight into the kind of things I've had to overcome. Discovering my intensity was its own whole thing. Like, I can't even express how fundamentally transformative that insight alone has been for me, because it just gave me like an anchor point, you know? There was a time when I couldn't actually express any strong feeling that I had, because I would experience this type of fear. And I didn't realize that that's what it was, but like any emotion that I had, good or bad, would have like this automatic fear response trigger within my body, and like I wouldn't be able to speak. It was like literally throat clenching fear. Like, yeah, I like and I thought everybody dealt with this, you know. So like I think, you know, these are the kinds of things that we take for granted, right? Because nobody how like people don't talk about this, you know, and I think it's time that we talk about this shit. So here I am talking about it. You know, I used to not be able to share anything because I was physically incapable. You know, I literally couldn't speak when I felt strong emotions. And as soon as I recognized this, as soon as I literally, in the moment, this was maybe 3 years ago now, I realized when I was standing outside looking at a tree waving in the wind, and I was experiencing a type of like joy, you know, like bliss. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so beautiful. I feel so like happy and, you know, just like grateful to be experiencing this like, I don't know, beautiful moment of nature. Honestly, it wasn't even that like special, but I don't know. I was feeling the vibes, and then as I was experiencing this like this good stuff, I suddenly felt this like this throat clench, and I was like, what is this? You know, why? What why what? What's going on? And in that moment, I recognized it as fear. Because that's another thing, is that I didn't really know how to identify my emotions, you know, other than pleasant or unpleasant. I wasn't really capable of understanding what I was actually feeling, you know, which is maybe another symptom of neurodivergence, right? Or just like a lack of emotional education or whatever. Like, whatever it is, I don't know if that matters so much as me being able to cope with it. So, you know, I'm standing there, I'm like experiencing this like bliss, and then simultaneously this like throat clenching fear. And as soon as I recognized it as fear, it went away. It like released its grip on me. And in that moment, I realized that this had always accompanied me, you know, and I think it is due to my intensity. I think as a little baby, I would have these like waves, these waves of emotion. And because the sensation is so strong within my body, it just totally overwhelmed me, you know, and like I didn't know, my tiny little body didn't know what was going on. And I had like a fear response to it. And I don't know where that came from, where it started, or like why it carried on for 30 plus years. But, you know, that's just what I've had to deal with. And, you know, it's a very distinct type of suffering because it makes you feel incredibly lonely. It's very isolating, and it just, you know, we need we need to be able to connect with other people. And, you know, also I don't have any siblings, so I just never had like a kind of peer, a regular peer to learn how to share this stuff with, you know. I've only recently learned how to share what I'm feeling with other people because it was so difficult for me growing up. And it's been like hugely transformative in my life, you know, and I think, you know, I've been hurt by people, and I think we all have, and I've been hurt by life. Some, you know, we all have. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is that I want to be here. I want to try and help people going through similar things because, yeah, you know, sometimes we just need the right information, you know, just like one insight can change everything. Yeah, so that's why I'm here. That's my story. I'm just gonna do my best. I'm gonna try and speak about things that matter to me, that I found helpful. This won't be a vlog. I don't have the capacity for that. But I am here to be here for others, you know, who are going through something similar that maybe I have, because, you know, with how many billions of people out there, I'm sure somebody has a similar experience. You know, as unique as we each are, we're also the same. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna end it there. Watch this space. The things I want to speak about are optimism in the face of adversity, of struggle. Yeah, maintaining an optimistic mindset, which I don't think is the same as necessarily being positive, because I think from my perspective, being an optimist means taking the reins in your own hands, you know, and not just accepting that things are inevitable, if I can put it that way, you know. Maybe there there are lots of things we can't change, but the one thing we always have control over is ourselves, our reaction, you know. As soon as you become aware of that, you regain a lot of power, you know. So yeah, I want to speak about optimism and how you can harness that to really just be happy, you know, just, or not even be happy, but just be without attaching anything to that, you know. Like sometimes that's all we need is to just be, without judgment, really. I want to speak about that. I want to speak about authentic expression and creativity and just how all those things work together, you know, because I think all of those they're all important, you know. So how can you be your most authentic self? By peeling away the layers that aren't really you, you know. They're just layers of protection that we've built up to protect us from the cruel world out there. Yeah. Jokes aside, I think, you know, I really care about this stuff, and I really want to contribute meaningfully. So yeah, stick around if you're interested. I will try to post something regularly, and also probably alongside this video that's a little bit more specific than just this random intro. Yeah, okay, that's me. Oh, also, I don't think I introduced myself. My name is Mea. Welcome. I hope I can spread some positive vibes your way, and hopefully in turn allow you to spread those forward too. Thank you.